The economic hitmen do it very successfully most of the time. Few times they fail, the jackals come in. Few times they fail, the military comes in. But everybody in the world knows that the military is there and the jackals are there. Today, we have a situation in Latin America where we've been sent a very, very strong signal. 6 Latin American countries representing 3/4 of the population of South America have voted in presidents who ran on platforms opposing U.S. policy, opposing the corporatocracy, opposing the IMF and the World Bank. Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Ecuador all have presidents, or did, till very recently in the case of Ecuador, who ran on those campaigns and won. The OAS, the Organization of American States, for the first time in its history, its 34 member states just elected a socialist, Chilean socialist Secretary General who was initially at least opposed by Condoleezza Rice in the State Department. Historical event. South America is where it's happening, in my opinion. South America has sent us an incredibly strong message, and we're not listening. Who's talking about it? Where in the press do you read about this that's going on? We need to listen to this, because at the same time, what's going on today in South America is very indicative of what's happening in the world. Every one of those 6 presidents is under tremendous pressure. You better believe that the economic hitmen and the jackals are in there, whispering in their ears. Hugo Chaveeez, Gutierrez, Kirchner. The economic hitmen are in there saying, hey, I got $200 million here. I got $200 million here for you. And if you don't want it, I got a gun. I got a jackal in the wings. And say, do you remember what happened to Salvador Allende in Chile? Do you remember what happened to Arbenz in Guatemala? Do you remember what happened to Jaime Roldos in Ecuador and Omar Torrijos in Panama? Do you remember what happened to Patrice Lumumba in the Congo and to Mossadegh? Do you remember what happened? Do you remember what happened? Do you remember what happened to Noriega? Noriega is the big one. If you're a president in Ecuador today, you're maybe saying, well, shit, you know, like, if they kill me, I'll be a martyr. That's not so bad. But what if they do to me what they did to Noriega? And personally, I didn't like Noriega much. I loved Torrijos, but Noriega was a different kind of person. But think of what that man went through. He stood up to us. He did not allow, he had a lot of bad characteristics, and he was a CIA agent and going after the Colombian drug cartels. Shady character. But he insisted on the right of his country to retain control over its canal. And he insisted on the right of his country to negotiate with the Japanese to build a new sea level canal, which Bechtel was totally against, of course. And so we had to take him out. So in 1989, we sent in a huge force that bombed Panama City, killed 2,000 to 3,000 Panamanians, innocent Panamanians, destroyed a large portion, the old portion of the city. I used to hang out there. I love that part of the city. And Noriega was yanked back here and put in an American prison where he still rots today, essentially in solitary confinement. The press can't even get to him. And so if you're a president of Latin America and somebody's whispering in your ear, hey, how about the $200 million I get right here in my pocket? Or we could assassinate you, or we could do what we did to Manuel Noriega. And if we do any of those things, who do you think your country is going to produce that's going to come in and do anything different that we can't take care of? This is what's going on in Latin America today. And some of these presidents are really standing up to us. And so what it comes down to is we in the United States must do something about this. They can't. They are. They're doing everything they possibly can. But they need us to do more. They need us to insist that we make sure that our president uphold what he promised in his inaugural address, that we would defend democracy and liberty around the world. Venezuela, it's a start. It's his promise. This is a democracy, I think. If it isn't, we've got to make it a democracy. And so Venezuela is a democracy. Hugo Chavez, we overthrew him in 2002 and he got back in. And he just got a 70% vote in the last straw poll that was done in his country. He's been voted in president twice. He's very popular. Oh, he's got his enemies. All the rich people hate him. I've got some very good Venezuelan friends living in Miami who hate him. But he's voted in. He's a democracy. He's clamping down on American oil companies. So what? We've got to defend. We, the people of the United States, have to defend his right to set whatever price he wants for his oil and his people want. Whatever taxes they demand of our oil companies. If our oil companies don't want to go there, they don't have to. And then he'll have to drop his taxes or whatever. Well, let's bring this up a little bit more to the current time. I'm very, very optimistic. We're going to change this world. We've reached this incredible point in time. Must be a call from the White House. The NSA, you better take it. Wait a minute. If you press that button, it may go off. Nobody wants to admit it's their phone. You know, so I'm just sort of sitting here like... I had a really embarrassing moment. I mean, I'm always chiding people like I am now here. And the other day I do a lot of radio shows these days, talking shows. Go ahead, take it, and just tell him that, you know, tell George you'll get back to him later. And so I'm on. It's okay. I've been there, believe me. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. They turn themselves on. It's amazing. Mine did that on the airplane flying in here today, you know. And I nearly got thrown out the exit door as a result. But and the other day I'm on this radio program, you know, on the telephone, and my cell phone's sitting on the desk next to me, and it's ringing as I'm on this live radio show. Anyway, so you know, here we are at this point in history, and we've created this amazing empire. And you can think of it in a way as being like a great octopus that sits in the United States, and its tentacles reach to every remote corner of the planet. And it's sucking all the resources from all those corners of the planet. And so today we've got a situation where less than 5% of the world's population, us, are consuming more than 25% of the world's resources. And we're creating more than 25% of the world's major pollution. Now, I ask you, is that a model that we can take to China, or India, or Africa, or Latin America? Obviously, no. It's a failed model. It doesn't work. We can't even continue doing it here, and we don't want to continue doing it here. None of us is really very happy with that model, including a lot of CEOs that I know that really aren't very happy with what's going on. And we know that empires always collapse. This one too will collapse. It cannot continue like this. And so, but we have had successes in that we can now communicate with everybody on the planet. We had this network, these tentacles that reach across the planet have tremendous distribution systems. There's 24,000 people dying every single day from hunger and hunger-related diseases. 24,000 people every single day. Another 30,000, mostly children, die from curable diseases because they don't get the medicines that should be available to them. Over 50,000 people every single day die these miserable, painful, needless deaths. And they're dying these deaths partly as a result of these tentacles that are sucking their countries, their regions dry. But we've created we have all the resources today that we need to reverse that flow. We can send out compassion to these people. We could teach people how to produce their own food so the 24,000 don't need to starve to death. We can teach people how to provide their own medicines. We are in that position today where we can do this, where we have the ability to do this. It would be another first in history.